Hello and welcome to another Huawei European Talk. Today our guest is Mr. Kaj Embrén, an expert and advisor in the field of sustainability with over 25 years of experience. Today's discussion will be about EU's effort towards circular economy and towards a successful European Green Deal. According to Global Enabling Sustainability Initiative's Smarter 2030 report, ICT emissions as a percentage of global carbon emissions will decrease over time due to the expected improvements in the energy efficiency of ICT products. ICT's on carbon footprint is expected to reach 1.25 GT in 2030 or 1.97% of global emissions. The report also found that by rolling out ICT solutions across the global economy, the total global carbon emissions could be cut by 12 GT by 2030, nearly 10 times higher than ICT's expected footprint. ICT is playing an increasingly important role in addressing global environmental issues and at the same time is helping make progress in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. In this context, could you please tell us, Kai, the importance of ICT in addressing global environmental issues, but also how ICT can help us for a successful circular economy and European Green Deal?
Thank you very much. Let's look at the planet Earth, because that's what we have in common, to try to save the planet, and we play different roles when we think about the emissions. We talk about production and materials we produce from the planet. And when we look at circular economy, we reflect on how we use the sources from the planet. And up till today, we have taken out a lot of material from the planet and make things from it and use it and then dispose it. And we need to break that sort of linear model to go into a much more of a circular model. And you know that circular economy and recycling, it's everything is together when we talk also about the Green Deal and the emission from climate change. Of course, we have only one planet, and yet by 2050 the world will be consuming as if we are 3 planets, and we can't go on that. And we need to look at our material we use for businesses, for how to produce things and how much we take from the Earth planet. And then when we design for new products, and also how the consumer can take part of this in a circular economy. So everything is connected, from the raw material to the product in the market or the services in the market. And of course, the European Union needs to accelerate this transition from a linear model to a circular model. The circular model that gives back to the planet more than it takes. So let's start with that.
Thank you very much, Kai, for these interesting insights. From my part, I would like also to share with you also Huawei's perspective on circular economy by saying that to maximize resource usage, Huawei effectively process recycled cell phones, tablets and batteries in an eco-friendly way. To use also less raw materials and make the most of resources, we're taking also steps from the very beginning, even from the design stage. And these include, of course, using more eco-friendly materials, reducing the raw materials needed, making products more durable and easier to disassemble, improving at the same time the product recycling system. And I would like also to ask you, what is also your perspective on that? What do you think, what role you think that ICT should play on not only on circular economy, but also on the whole process of recycling, let's say, of raw materials? Can I have your saying on this, please?
Well, we look at the circular economy as a whole. The EU, the Commission, has done some reports, and it's also connected to how we can save cost. The figures, they say it's about 8% of annual turnover for businesses in the EU to reduce the total annual greenhouse gases also by 2 to 4%. And it also, if we are working more in the circular economy, we also can create 700,000 new jobs to 2030. That's a pretty big opportunities. But the thing is that we need to get in control over the whole process from the beginning, when we starting to find the rare material from the earth, and then when we decide how we should design things and how we produce things. And I think that the ICT sector plays a very important role when we look at electronics as a whole. Then it's a growing industry, but it's also that it has its impact in packaging and also in other parts of the process. So I think the ICT sector can play an important role for this transition from a linear principle to a more circular economy. And it will take some time, but we are not on track yet. And I think the European Commission has a role to play when it comes to smart regulation that stimulate and gives incentives to businesses to change the way they produce things. And I think also when we look at the electronics, it's the raw material for electronics is also something that we have to think about. How could we recycling more of the things we already have taken up from the earth and put that into a circular perspective? So we can reuse the material which we already have taken out from the earth. And that needs also new types of recycling system that we can take out from tablets and from mobile phones and make sources from that. I think we see also other industries that also show that how they can use old material once again when they produce new products. And I think steel industry is one of them, that they are recycling much more of old steels and use that in the process of creation of new sources. So everyone have to play its role in the business society.
This is very important, high indeed. So companies should really hold on high standards for greener operations and constantly look also for opportunities to reduce carbon emissions. At the same time, I think that indeed they should perhaps also be part of green partner programs in which, for example, they can work with other suppliers together to reduce power consumption and emissions, and also to build eventually a greener ecosystem. So if we summarize these, what will be, let's say, your 3 suggestions to EU policymakers towards a successful circular economy and European Green Deal?
Well, it's more than 3, but I think we have to look at all involved partners in the process when we produce things, and it's everything from production to consuming. So we also have to increase the numbers of how people in the municipality, how they recycling waste. So it has everything from production of materials and production and processes to the consuming of products. So I think when we look at the electronic industry, for example, they can also provide with smart solutions on how to, in the digital economy, bring people together and partners together to find smarter ways how you will solve a problem. And for example, a city that needs to save sources, digital solution bring people and partners together. And I think that the electronic industry and also the everything that's connected to digitalization have a huge role to play to save sources with smart connection, and how to bring people together. And as you see, that the mobile phones and other tablets and bringing people together, that is an important part of how you communicate with people who need to be involved in the whole process of recycling and also how you consume things. So first, the advice, then I think that the ICT sector need to go through their chain from how much material they use and how they can sharpen and also find a transition to use more of recycling materials, but also offer cities and other businesses solutions that digitalization can help people to collaborate much more. So it is sort of both look into your own businesses, but also to how to be a part of a solution for a city, for example.
Indeed, actually, ICT is playing an increasingly important role in addressing global environmental issues and is helping make progress in achieving also the Sustainable Development Goals. At the same time, as you also mentioned, helps reducing power consumption and emissions in every industry by using more renewable energy, recycling, and at the same time mitigating the impacts of climate change.
I would like to add one more important issue, which is related to that we all have been looking into production system. When the legislature is taking their decision, they make laws, but all the laws has been made from a perspective of the linear process, and we have to go to the circular. So most of the laws in every country have to be reviewed and to be a part of circular thinking. And that is a huge work for all countries to change their opportunities to find and stimulate the circular economy. So that is one of the most important parts, that the decision-making legislator are also involved in the process to stimulate and give them incentives to the circular process, as the law is an important part of that.
Well, it's been great having you as a guest on our Huawei European Talks today, Kaj. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all for now. I hope you join us next time for a new edition of Huawei European Talks.
Thank you very much.